I have been having a blast playing with product that's coming out in our new mini catalog, the Stampin' Up! Mini catalog, and it is coming out on September 6th. Let me double check that 1 second. Yes, September 6th. So this mini catalog is amazing, awesome. If you are a current customer of mine, you should have received your complimentary copy in the mail, or you've already gotten your catalogs from your demonstrators. And these catalogs will also be available online through our websites on September 6th. If you love autumn, which I think many, if not all of us love autumn, you are gonna love these new products. I am going to demonstrate with our All About Autumn suite, which comes with ribbon and paper and embellishments and awesome stamps and dies, and my desk is just covered with projects and cards that I've been using these products on. So I thought I would put the camera on and share a couple of the cards that I've made, and then in my next video I'm going to show you a really pretty wall hanging that I made using the same All About Autumn suite. So let's start stamping. These are the two cards that I've recently made using the products in this suite. First things first, I need to show you the gorgeous paper. So it's a stack of 6 by 6. There are 48 sheets in this. So there are 12 double-sided designs and 4 of each. And it is specialty. It's got the beautiful copper, and the colors in this designer series paper are copper clay, mossy meadow, pretty peacock, moody mauve, fairy vanilla, and copper foil. And I love that they've got like textures in here. So we've got like velvet, suede. Let's back up. Let me show you the reverse. Oh my gosh. Look at that beautiful pattern. And really, I mean, my goodness, you just want to frame these. And then look at that. Look at the wood grain. Absolutely gorgeous. Isn't that pretty? I think this is going to be my most used designer series paper in a very long time, to the point where I'm just gonna have to seriously buy lots of it. Look at the leather, how perfect for that, a masculine card, scrapbooking, look at that. It's so pretty. Leaves. And we have the books. The colors are just so rich. I love trees, I love leaves, so just looking at these patterns just make me happy. And then we've got the knit, and then more of the pretty peacock. So are you with me on how beautiful this is? I betcha you are. So I've already gone ahead and I've pulled out 3 patterns. Now I do know I want to use this on one of the cards. I'm going to do the cards very similar to what I showed you at the beginning of the video, but there will be some variation, and I do want to use different designer series paper just to show you how it looks. So I am needing to choose my paper for the second card, so I'm going to go with that one. And these cards are really simple to make, but they're so pretty, and they involve a couple fun little techniques. For the first card, I am going to use Pretty Peacock as my card base. So I'm just cutting down my paper. I'm going to score my 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock down at 4 1/4, spin it around and cut it at 5.5. And now I have 2 standard card bases. So of course when they're folded, 4 1/4 by 5.5. So I'll set this aside for another card. This is going to be for today's card. And my designer series paper that I'm going to use on this card is going to be, it's going to be this one. I had to stop and think there. I am going to make this a portrait card. So I'm going to cut this down at 4. Kind of want to figure out what stays on the card and what's going to get cut off. So I'm going to turn this around because I want more of these leaves over here. So I'll definitely be using this. Wouldn't that be pretty even as a bookmark? Be saving that for another project. Of course, I'm going to turn this around and cut it at 5 1/4. Okay. While I have my trimmer out, I'm going to cut a piece of vellum. And I'm going to cut my vellum down at 1 3/4 by 4 1/2. Okay. So I'm just going to glue my designer series paper right on top of my card base. Another fabulous new product that's part of this suite is this 3D embossing folder. It's called Distressed Foil, and it is amazing. It is absolutely amazing. And I am going to run my vellum through this embossing folder. If you've never run vellum through an embossing folder before, oh my gosh, you have to try. It's pretty cool. So let me see. Let me get some dark cardstock. Let's grab this card base here. I want you to see the pattern. Can you see that? It's really beautiful. It's gonna be very, very fun to play with. Okay, so I'm going to position this. I think there's no right or wrong, but I'm kind of making sure it's straight. All right. And then look at that. Seriously gorgeous. And of course there are so many techniques that we can use with our embossing folders that I just can't wait to try them with this particular embossing folder. It's just so pretty. So I'm going to set that aside, and while I have my die cutting machine out, I want to cut a leaf from this suite. So I haven't even shown this suite to you yet. Look at, this is the stamp set. It's beautiful. And there's the coordinating dies, which I will show you. It's a 2-step stamp set. So again, you use your solid image, you've got your outline image, beautiful sentiments, and it's absolutely lovely, and the dies are fabulous. So these are the dies. So you have the dies that coordinate with the stamps, but then also there's other dies like the extra maple leaves, the really beautiful frames. These ones here, this one and this long one, are really cool because it's like they perforate your paper. It is truly a sensational and very big die collection. So that is really, really awesome. Also part of this suite is the oxidized copper 12 by 12 paper. It's single-sided, but look at those colors, and they all completely coordinate. So pretty. And I wanted to show that to you because I have already die cut from a project I was working on, the wall hanging, which I'm going to show you in my next video, using that paper with the maple leaf dies. Oh my gosh. And I think I have, yeah, here's a couple more, the oak leaves. Pretty fun. Pretty fun. Okay, I am going to do some die cutting. So get my plates back in there. I'm using a piece of shimmery white. So this is just a scrap piece of shimmery white. And I'm going to cut out a maple leaf. And I'm also going to cut out the outline. And I know I could put my adhesive sheet behind this, but I'm just going to glue it on. And then I do want to cut out the sentiment, but I'm going to stamp that first. We'll come back to the die cutting in a second. Pull that off. So I'm just going to take a little bit of glue and put it behind this outline. Just going to do a little bit. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to flag the bottom of my vellum. I'm going to glue that onto the card. Now I'm going to take my first mark ink pad and I'm just going to lightly tap it onto my leaf. I'm not pressing hard. I'm going to emboss with some copper. Alright, so now we have our beautiful leaf. I am going to glue that directly onto my card. I'm going to use one of the labels for my sentiment and cut that out. And I'm going to use Pretty Peacock as my choice of ink color to tie in the card base. So I'm just stamping I'm thankful. And then underneath that, I'm going to stamp to have you as a friend. Very small script, but so pretty. A little crooked. All right, I'm going to show you how I'm going to fix that. I'm going to bring this back in. And I'm just going to trim that out and pop it up on the sentiment. Right in the center, lining it up with the vellum. Let's just cut a little strip off my dimensionals here. Once again, I like the second version. I like the corrected. When I was fixing my mistake, I like having that popped up. Okay, in this suite there are also some beautiful new ribbons, and these one come together, so you've got your naturals and then look at your copper. So I'm going to use the copper. Okay, and I'm going to put my bow on with some glue dots. And I'm just putting it on the stem of that leaf. Just use that to hold that down a bit. I'm just folding up my ribbon just a bit, just to give it that dimension. There's the completed card, and I will show you the original one. And the differences are, I used a piece of the shimmery white, or you can use basic white, as my 4 by 5 1/4 layer, and then I cut my designer series paper to measure 3 3/4 by 5. And then I also just kept my leaf white. I didn't add the copper, and I made my vellum strip a little bit thinner as well. Moving on to card number 2. The card base is Fairy Vanilla cardstock, And instead of scoring like I did on the first card at the 4 1/4 mark, I'm going to score at 5 1/2. Spin my 8 1/2 by 11 down and cut it at 4 1/4. So again, this is giving me 2 card bases. I will set that aside for another card, and we'll use this one today. And then this is the pattern I am using on this card. So I'm going to cut this down at 4, set that aside, and spin this around and cut it at 5 1/4. Okay, glue this. Oh my gosh, look how pretty. Oh, love, love, love. All right, I'm going to glue this right to my card base. I already have another piece of Fairy Vanilla, and it's cut at 5 1/2 by 4, and I'm going to bring in my foam mat because I'm stamping with my photopolymer stamps. Next up, I am stamping the leaf vein images with Early Espresso. I'm doing that for the maple leaf, and then this one's for the 2 leaves. So I'm just going to stamp that here, stamp that one here. Okay, I am inking up the solid maple leaf now, and I'm using First Mark, and I'm just going to stamp this right on top of that Early Espresso, and I really did not give myself a whole lot of room for cutting that with the die, but we'll see how it goes. Now I'm taking the double leaf stamp, inking that with First Mark. I'm going to stamp it right on top of this one. And bring in my chalks. Okay, I don't know if I have shown this technique with cotton balls before. I don't think I have, but I am using cotton balls to add my chalks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my yellow, and I'm just going to take my cotton ball and put chalk on it and start adding some of that color. Okay, I'm going to go into the darker yellow. That one really shows the color better. And when I cut these with my die, it is going to cut those stems out, just to remind you. Let's do some red. I'm just using the same cotton ball, but you can switch and use, keep cotton ball just for the red, just for the yellow. Isn't that pretty how this is all coming out and blending in with that chalk? And you don't get any harsh lines. So quick, so pretty. I'm just going to add some greens now, going right on top of that yellow, and I'm actually going over top of some of that existing color that I've already put on. And let's do some darker green. Oh my word. So very pretty. And of course, as your yellows and your reds start blending together, you'll get your orange, right? I actually want some more red. Look, I'm just taking my chalk right to the cotton ball this time. So I want some more red in there. Look at that. I want some more red in here as well. I'm going to take another clean cotton ball and just wipe off that excess chalk. I know whenever I use the chalks, I'm asked, do I need to set it with anything? I don't. I have heard People use hairspray or things of that sort, but I've not. I've just been able to do it just like this, and it comes out beautiful, and the ink or the chalk doesn't rub off. And of course, if you want your chalked images to be darker and more vibrant, as you're putting your layers initially down, you're just going to use a stronger force. You're going to just be a little bit more aggressive with that chalk. I'm not quite sure how to say that, but let me just see. I'm pushing harder. That's what I'm trying to say. Don't use such a soft touch like I did. See? And then you can get a more vibrant look with your chalks versus a softer look. Okay, so that's how you would do that. So again, let's just wipe off that excess and cut these out. So very pretty. And I think what I'm going to do for this card is I'm going to sponge the edges of my leaves with the Early Espresso. And since I have a cotton ball handy, let's try using a cotton ball for that, which I've never done. But look at that. That works just fine. I'm actually going to take my scissors and cut this so that I can get in there and sponge the edge. There are different things I can do even from this point. I can use them just as they are. I can tap my Versamark on top and emboss them in clear, or I can crumple them with water and get a real fun 3D look. That's what I'm gonna do. Alright, so a piece of paper towel, I have my water spritzer, and I'm just gonna spritz that and crumple it. Are some of you watching just going, what is she doing? What is she doing? I love doing this. I love doing this with flowers and leaves. I love the look. So if this is not something you do, you do you. Don't do what I'm doing. All right. Next up, I'm going to set those with the heat tool. I could leave them to dry. I'm going to get some more crumple in the middle. Leave them to dry, but I'm going to go ahead and zap it. Now, because it's wet, I rubbed some of that paper, which I didn't mean to do. And I also tore a little bit, which is fine because, you know, sometimes leaves are torn. Alright, let's dry those with heat tool. I just want to stop here and let you know that when they dry, once they're dry I should say, they are going to hold their shape. So if you feel like doing a little extra bending, squishing, you want to do it before it's fully dry. Nice and dry, it's got the texture, the folds, very 3D, very beautiful. And I just love, love, love the look of those chalks on these leaves. Let's bring this one in. So pretty. Okay, time to add these beauties to the card. So because we lost the stems when we die cut, I'm going to re-stamp the center of the leaves. And I also want to keep a spot for sentiment. And I think I want my sentiment to go right here. So I'm actually going to stamp this right there. And I'm going to stamp this one right here, slightly overlapping. And I'm going to glue these on. Bring in a Q-tip just to add some color where I accidentally rubbed that paper. I'm just going to use the yellow. And look at that. Nobody would know. My sentiment is going to be stamped with the Early Espresso, and I'm going to stamp it directly onto this Designer Series paper. I'm not going to stamp it on a label, although you could. I'm just going to stamp it right here. And it reads, "Autumn teaches us that change can be beautiful." I'm just making a simple bow. Nothing fancy pantsy. And I don't want it to be too big, but I do want to have some nice tails on there. And I'm going to use a glue dot to put that onto my card. Something that I had done on my original card that I had forgotten about until now is I added some splatters of ink. So I want to do that. So all I'm doing is I'm taking my silicone craft mat and squeezing a tiny little bit of my white craft ink, and then I'm going to take my water painter and just add a drop or two of water, and then I'm just going to take my take your pick tool and stir that together. Wipe the end off. And I'm actually going to unsqueeze that again and put some more water here because I want my brush to be not dripping wet, but quite wet. So I'm just, you can tell there was already white in there because I've been doing this. So I am getting my brush nice and wet, and then I'm just going to pick up some of that white and splatter it. Now, had I remembered this part, I would have done it before I stamped my sentiment, so I'm just being kind of careful. I don't want to get too much, I don't want to get any big ink blobs onto my sentiment. And I'm just turning my card around. I want to make sure I get my ink splatters going in different directions, and I'm trying to just get some on my leaves. And then look at that. It's funny how just little tiny things like that can make such a difference on a card. And then the last product that's part of this All About Autumn suite that I haven't shown you yet are these adhesive backed speckled gems. And they're so pretty. They've got the copper, like a copper glitter in the colors. So I'm choosing the green to pull out some of the green from these leaves. Here's the finished card. What do you think? I really, really love it. I love the pastels. The pastel chalks and the technique that I just shown you is so easy to add beautiful colors blended together for autumn leaves. Definitely one of my favorite ways to do that. And I love the water crinkle. That's going to be my new name for my water squishing technique, the water crinkle. And I'll show you the original one that I made the other day. Now I did add my chalks differently. Well, you can see I also didn't add the water. Very, very different look, right? And it's flat. Still beautiful, but all I did on this is I took my Q-tips actually direct to the chalk and just kind of added color that way. So as you can see, same layout, same products, but a few different techniques, a few different tweaks, I should say, by using the water and sponging and crumpling the Q-tips versus the cotton balls. But I think they're both beautiful cards, and I think your Stampin' Pastels, the chalks, are going to be very well used with this suite. So if you don't already have the chalks, you might want to consider getting them in your order if you are going to be getting this suite. So let me bring in the first two cards that I made. I absolutely love this new suite from Stampin' Up, and I can't wait to show you a beautiful wall hanging that I've already made using this suite. That will be in my next video. So if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Be sure to do that and hit the little bell next to it so you're notified when I upload my new videos, and I will have that wall hanging video done for you in the next couple of days. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you so much. Take care and happy stamping.